Alrighty, guys, we did it. We made it through Sunday. The football was exciting. It was nice to be back. I hope your favorite team won. Ours didn't. That was pretty disappointing. But I mean, still a pretty good day of football. Saw a lot of decent games happening. Just
hmm
good plays, fun stuff. I don't even know. I mean, I feel like we're kind of gonna spin it all around the league in terms of what happened on Sunday. But where do you want to go first?
Go to Houston. Talk about that Jags Texans game. I don't think anyone outside of me saw the Texans win in this game. Even though, I mean, you and I when we talked about it, it wasn't a game that was out of reach for the Texans. But I don't think people expected Tyrod Taylor to ball the amount he did in that game. It's been 2 good years, 2 full years since we've seen Tyrod Taylor play football, and he looks like he's lost that conservative moniker of like check downs and I'm not going to be the QB that loses you a game. He is dealing out there now, and I love it.
Yeah, I have to say, seeing the highlights, very exciting. 37 points on the board is not an amount of points that I would say I'm expecting from a Tyrod Taylor-led offense. I'm not expecting a bad offensive performance on the other hand, but I really didn't think the Texans would be able to pull away in this one. Like we said, we thought it could go either way. This wasn't one that we were feeling too crazy about.
hmm
But yeah, it happened, and I mean, props to them. My basically my questions here are okay. How and this is kind of going to be a question for every game. It's like how does this actually play in past today? Like how does it actually fit in other matchups around the league? How will these teams look after one game? Because one game is such a small sample size, and you never really know anything after one game. But of course, we're going to make huge conclusions based off of it.
hmm
And if the Texans can put up like even like 28 points a game, they're going to be in a lot of games this year.
Oh yeah.
37 is an impressive mark to hit week one. And then my question for the Jaguars is really just how are they going to come back from this? Because this has got to be tough for them because I feel like they at least know like the Texans were not thought of as like one of the top dogs in the league. So I think they knew that going into this one. I think they knew
Yeah.
that they weren't either, but they probably had enough. I mean, somebody in the organization had to notice that the newspaper or the sports books were putting them as the favorite. So I mean, I don't know how they'll feel after this, and I wonder if they may have they may not be on a good track here to start off after that loss.
Yeah, my biggest question for the Jags after that is how are you planning on protecting Trevor Lawrence for the rest of the season? Because that O line looked horrific against the Texans pass rush that is going to be bottom of the league. Their only decent pass rusher they traded for pennies on the dollar right before the season started. So, I mean, I'm going to like just having the Texans create that much pressure on Trevor Lawrence is wild. And we talked about this a little bit last night. Trevor Lawrence may develop the Jameis Winston moniker with interceptions. No, you said that in passing as a joke. I do think it can happen, but it won't be his fault. Like Jameis's interceptor problem is him just being like deciding who he's going to throw the ball to before the ball is even snapped. Trevor Lawrence may just have this problem because of the O line, and it's rushing him to just throw straight to his first read.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have a fun, really second half of the week. I think is when I'm actually gonna get around to like getting back and getting into all these games. Saw like the really base level highlights for a lot of them, but it's I'm gonna be interested to see what I think after I take a closer look back at the Jaguars and the Texans game. Let's move on to one really quick here. I think this one will be pretty easy to note for us because we both agreed on it, and we kind of felt like this was going to happen, and it did. The Seahawks kind of just handled business going to Indianapolis.
hmm
28-16 final there. Nothing too shocking. I kind of feel like if there was any game this week in terms of just how we felt it would go, it basically played out exactly. The Rams and the Bears is the other one. Those are the two games that we both agreed on, and they played out exactly how we thought they would.
Yeah, that Colts team does not look great offensively. They got to get the run game going and with some uh, nicks on that O line with injuries and guys not being 100%, especially your QB. We didn't have them winning a lot of games to start this season. I still don't see them winning a lot of games to start, and that Seattle defense is not that great either. And Wentz is a good enough quarterback to be able to take advantage of weak secondaries and weak pass rushes. Uh, he just, I, he just might not have it anymore. I don't know, but he is a serviceable quarterback, so you'd think like you'd get that play out of him. But with that, you're having a serviceable offense going up against a not great defense, and then a magnificent quarterback in Russell Wilson who could do everything, going up against a defense that, we can't name anyone on, but that doesn't mean they're bad. It's a good defense. It's just Russell Wilson is an X factor with the weapons he has there too. So he's going to win games just making plays and making up for the lack of defense against bad teams.
Yeah, no. This week's show was Tyler Lockett, and he really did put on a heck of a performance for them. I mean, that combo they got there, and Gerald Everett got involved. I was wondering how big of a piece he would actually be for them, stepping into that tight end spot that I kind of felt has been a weak point for them, even though they've been able to get production out of certain guys in the past. I feel like he may be the actual first weapon at the position they've had there in a while. Yeah, that team, this NFC West is about to be wild because like I said, I didn't get back to all the games yet, but I got a few things to say when we get to the Cardinals. But first, you need to flaunt in my face because the Philadelphia Eagles steamrolled the Atlanta Falcons.
Eagles, Eagles, baby. I said it. I said it when I predicted this game. The Eagles are going to be in a situation that the Falcons were last season, where that offense is going to be good enough to go toe-to-toe with any offense because of the athlete that they have at QB. And also, I mean, I might be backpedaling here what I said about Devontae Adams pre-draft.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. See, I'm getting him confused already. He's just that great. But Devontae Smith looked like a stud out there. All the rookie receivers looked like studs out there this week. Jalen Hurts is taking advantage of that. He's got Gardner Minshew and his goatee breathing down his neck. He knows that he has to make plays to stay in this game, so he's going to be balling with his legs and with his arm. That defense held up pretty good, too, against an Atlanta offense that is going to be high tempo this season. I mean, losing Julio is bad, but you have a generational tight end talent in Kyle Pitts, too, to make up for that. I'm more shocked with how bad Atlanta played than how well the Eagles played, if I had to pick a way to talk about it.
Yeah, no, to be completely honest, I am not surprised that the Eagles put up 32 against the Falcons. I am shocked that the Falcons only managed to put up 6 points. If you told me that the worst possible what is the worst possible offensive production you see out of Atlanta in week 1 going up against the Eagles, and the Falcons are the home team? What, 17 points? At the absolute worst. How did they only put 6 on the board? I mean, we're not expecting Atlanta to be a good team, but geez, if they're going to do this against Philadelphia, what they've got in the secondary and what they've got going on there, man, yes, up for the Eagles, very down for the Falcons. I mean, the only thing propping them up was the offense, and not even being able to have 7 on the board is absolutely atrocious. Next game to hit on, Chargers and the Washington football team. I would like to say from the start here that this game was really close and it felt like it could really go either way. And the Chargers won, but I would have been really interested to see what happened if one quarterback got to play the entire game. Because I really don't feel like the opinion of the Washington football team, for me, changes much whether Ryan Fitzpatrick is starting or Taylor Heineke. Because, I mean, I'm confident in Heineke. But getting shoved in there after the game has started, that kind of sucks. And Fitzpatrick is missing a decent amount of time now. So rooting for Heineke, because still big Heineke fans, like we said, all offseason. But I just feel like that kind of screwed up the result of the game a little bit. And I don't know if I'm going to put too much stock into this, but it's a good win for the Chargers because they played against a good football team and won.
Yeah, I didn't pick the Chargers this week, and I've been the biggest Chargers fan all offseason, so I might have to keep it that way if they're going to win games and I don't pick them. Yeah, Brandon Staley's defense looked all right, but I do agree. If the football team had one of the two QBs play the whole game, I think they come out there with that win. And also, same with you again. My opinion on the football team does not waver at all because I think with Fitzpatrick and Heineke, you may lose some stuff in one guy that the other guy doesn't have, but you also gain stuff with the other, so it evens out with what they can do. And I mean, Heineke has more playoff experience than Fitzpatrick, so if he takes a stranglehold on this job and leads him all the way to the playoffs, I mean, he's more suited to be there than Fitzy is.
Yes, sir. Um, I'm ready. I'm ready for the Heineke hype train. So it's gonna be exciting, and especially considering they got the Giants this week, short week, Thursday night prime time. That's our matchup. We get to see Heineke again. We'll talk about the Giants soon enough too. But I'm ready for Thursday night football. I don't know why I shouldn't be because it's two 0-1 teams, but they haven't won a game yet.
That Thursday night game is like the definition of Thursday night games, though. It's just like, yeah.
Although I do prefer having like the Cowboys the Giants and the football team as opposed to the Cowboys and somebody else, just because
the Cowboys.
The Cowboys
and
seem
anyone.
I mean, all the NFC East teams are going to get forced on there, but it seems like the Cowboys even more. So at least if we're going to get an NFC East matchup, make sure the Cowboys aren't involved for a little bit.
Yeah.
Next, the saddest game of the week for us. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Buffalo Bills, and I am going to be super honest with our fans when I speak, but I'll let you go first.
I'll be super honest with them first, too. Josh Allen looked bad. He looked really, really bad. If you want to blame this on the offensive line, that's fine. But, I mean, the offensive line scheming didn't work well. Everyone, it seems, is now just blaming Cody Ford and John Feliciano for being garbage, and realizing that they have always just been mediocre guards, and Cody Ford's still trying to learn the position. John Feliciano has been the definition of mediocre throughout his entire career, and fans are now just starting to realize that because he had a bad game against a Hall of Fame talent at pass rusher. Yeah, I mean, great observation. But Josh Allen is supposed to be a $200 million QB. He's supposed to be able to handle pressure and complete easy passes. The offense was schemed up to give him easy passes that he was not completing. He was overthrowing receivers. He was throwing balls out of reach. He was throwing balls too high. And when you throw balls too high for Cole Beasley, he isn't going to catch them because he's 5'3". So you can't be chucking it up in the air like you're throwing it to Jake Kumaro, a guy that's 6'4". It just... he did not look good.
Yeah. First things first. Let me point out all the things that I think I want to give credit to the Steelers for. Before I say anything about the Bills, because as a Bills fan, I want to rip the Bills a new one. So, three things. First, pass rush, insane, tremendous, great job, guys. Secondly, punt block, huge, absolutely awesome. Third, Big Ben, no turnovers, tremendous. Because he wasn't doing anything insane, but the fact that he had no turnovers really helped that game. Okay, now Josh Allen. Boy, oh boy, man, I don't think we're gonna hear a lot of Bills fans putting it on Josh Allen, but we know after watching last season that this offense was completely running through him. And we knew that going into this season, but we didn't expect it. And it's only one game, so we can't say the season's over. But I didn't expect week 1 for him to come out like he did. He really did not. Yesterday, for me, guy who's watched basically every snap of Allen since he's joined the Bills, right? Yesterday was... honestly, like, even though other people We'll talk about his rookie year, how inaccurate he was his rookie year, and then it got progressively better. Whatever. Yesterday was like the worst game in terms of accuracy. I thought where it wasn't like there was a huge excuse. I know the wind. You said the wind was pretty heavy, but honestly, not. I with them not even mentioning it on the broadcast as compared to like what it was in situations like last year against Baltimore where it was obvious like the whole game that the wind was like destroying the game. I mean, Tucker was missing kicks and that type of thing.
Hmm.
It just wasn't to that level. There was no excuse for him to be missing passes as poorly as he was. The pressure was on, but I thought he was trying to evade pressure like basically as poorly as he possibly could. Felt like anytime there was an opportunity to step up in the pocket or step up into an area where he could make a throw, he was stepping into the wrong window. He was not choosing the correct area. And then he got back to his habit of what he does early in the season most years now in putting the ball on the floor. He doesn't do it later in the season because he gets comfortable again and he realizes like, oh, okay, I have to protect the ball. Comfortable is probably the wrong word there. He realizes, okay, later in the season he understands, oh, I have to protect the football at least while I'm running with it or have it in my hands or whatever. But yeah, the early season Josh Allen fumbles are killer in like these September games and even early October games.
Hmm.
Being that inaccurate, knowing that the offense is built through him, there's no way that we're going to beat any sort of quality opponent doing that. And I'm really not surprised with the result at the end of the day. And I really don't have anything bad to say about our defense. I thought our defense played really
No,
well.
defense looked great.
Almost, I'm putting this basically entirely on the offense, and I'm still not going to change my opinion about the Bills in terms of becoming a more run-oriented team. I still think that our way to success is through the air. It's just that Josh Allen needs to play up to his abilities and not miss some very easy passes, especially ones where guys are running wide open for touchdowns.
Yeah,
That one was the worst.
when you're a team that has a franchise QB like that and the offense is ran purely through that QB, there's another game that we'll talk about that took place in Green Bay this week. Or no,
In
didn't take place.
Jacksonville.
It took place in Jacksonville. Jeez, I just like assigned it to a team because it wasn't either of those teams. But it took place at Jacksonville. Like if your QB has a bad day, and Bills fans, it's fine. You can say Josh Allen played bad for one game. It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna kill you. Other QBs have bad games. Patrick Mahomes has bad games too. They don't usually result in losses because he's sold his soul to the devil or something. But other QBs have bad games and they result in losses too. Aaron Rodgers had a bad game and his team lost. It happens. It's okay to say that. You don't have to defend Josh Allen and make up excuses because a replacement level guard had a bad game against a Hall of Fame talent pass rusher, which I think is stupid. Like, yeah, he's going to. You have to be ready for that. Like, I don't know what they were expecting. I don't know. I just hate seeing some of the stuff on Twitter. It drives me insane.
Well, I mean, I said I thought they'd be able to get the ball out quick, and
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't even get the ball out quick because he was missing throws that were even still like quick passes. It felt like. On top of that, we didn't have a ton. This isn't as much to blame. It's just Josh Allen missing, but the few times that we just dropped wide open balls, man, it hurt. It hurt my soul when those happened. So
Yeah.
let's move along so we don't just
To a
talk
better
about the Bills.
to a better football game here. I like this next one we're going to talk about. Niners at Lions.
Yes.
Way better football game than what took place in Orchard Park, purely because it was very high scoring, and everyone loves that now because no one loves defense. Uh, 33 points out of a Dan Campbell team is the most shocking part of this game. I
I can't believe the
felt,
Lions covered the spread.
I I just felt like this game, or just all Lions game, it's going to be Dan Campbell committed to like hard nose, break your opponent's face football that it's going to result in like blowout wins of like 40 to like 14. But the offense actually turned up there late. And Dan Campbell does give his guys props, and I love that. And I also do love seeing clips of the coaches that look like they can play on Dan Campbell's coaching staff, just going in on guys and giving them some tough love. Jeff Okuda was getting screamed at. He
Yeah, and
then,
now Jeff
burst his
Okuda's
Achilles.
yeah, Jeff
Yeah,
Okuda's
burst his
gone.
Achilles later in that game, because he went too hard. But that's what Dan Campbell wants, I guess. Lions had a heck of a showing, but I mean, I think everyone knew going into this game that the Niners were going to win it. This wasn't like a Jags Texans game where it's like you could pick the Texans and not look insane. If you pick the Lions going into this game, you might have a screw loose. But Dan Campbell will find a way to get his team wins if they have the ability to just turn up offense here in the fourth quarter and go on like 2 or 3 scoring drives to close it out.
Well, we talked about this a little bit yesterday as the last few games were coming to a close, and that like why are we still doing this? Why are we still, when we're up like significant amounts, just going completely prevent defense? I'm not saying that you need to call the most aggressive defense in the world, but you can call like a slightly normal defense for like the end of the game. We don't need to let the Lions back in for absolutely no reason, and it feels like that's exactly what the 49ers did at the end of that game. And I didn't like to see that at all. That's come on, coaches. It's too conservative when you're up like at some points you're up by like 4 or 5 scores in a game, and then you just decide, oh yeah, we'll let them cut it back down to 1 score. You're giving up the momentum and just saying, okay, well the clock is going to expire. The one time the clock doesn't expire, you're going to look like an idiot. And I mean, one time it happened in a Super Bowl. No. That game wasn't actually I shouldn't say that. I'm just thinking of Kyle Shanahan again, and that's not true for that game. That game was different. I'm just really upset about it, and that was an exaggeration, and that's not an accurate statement at all. So let me correct myself immediately.
You don't have to correct yourself, just push your own narrative. But speaking of narratives, could losing Robert Saleh be bad for this Niners team? Could it stunt it?
I mean, yeah, it could. Because the defense needs to. The entire NFC West is 1-0. This is already we already said this is the best division in football by far, and we still got to talk about the Cardinals, so I won't say it. But
yeah,
wow. I mean, this is gonna be a wild ride, but man, I mean, it's only one game, and it's Overreaction Monday, but geez, one game, if that's what the Niners defense is going to do against Detroit. I mean, like I said, I want to put it mostly up to the fact that they were playing Prevent-A-Ton at the end of the game, which I hated. But yeah, that's not a good showing. And honestly, like with how close this division already was, they may take them all the way from the 1 ranking in my NFC West rankings down to 4, because it's just like all these teams have so much talent on their rosters. But not gonna actually overreact to that too much. Just didn't like the obviously 33 to the Lions is not something that is good. Yep, your favorite. Just talk about it.
Yeah, these upset games. I was really pumping them out. I mean, yeah, this Vikings team's supposed to be good, isn't it? I just had this guy sitting across from me the whole offseason telling me, oh, you're too low on the Vikings. You need to give the Vikings more credit. And then he asks me on Saturday, well, how many points do you think the Vikings are going to average this season? I go, 24. He's like, you still think they're going to be bad? Yeah, because when the opponent scores 27, 24 ain't enough to win. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are back, man. Sure, a terrible draft, a not great offseason, a coach that if he were to walk into my dorm room right now, I would tell him to leave and I wouldn't even recognize him. The Bengals are set up for failure, but so are the Vikings, and the Bengals just capitalized on that, and I love it. I love it so much. Jamar Chase seems to just completely forgot about his drop problems, and I also love Joe Burrow just having the chemistry with him. Their post-game conferences after Jamar Chase walks out, Joe Burrow sits down and goes, yeah, I thought he couldn't catch.
Yes, I have to say, I don't understand why the Vikings play this poorly. It doesn't make sense to me, but they do, so I should just accept it. I also have to say that even though I hate the Bengals roster, like, just so bad, they have a quarterback now. And they're in every game that they play because they have a quarterback now. and I'm guessing that people from Cincinnati could not be happier. And I said this to you. I said this to you yesterday about Matt Stafford. Just to go back to the Bills. If Matt Stafford's the starting quarterback for the Bills yesterday, does Matt Stafford win us? Do we win that football game? The answer was yes from you. It was a yes from me. That's why I posed the question. Is the same thing true if Joe Burrow's the quarterback for the Bills yesterday?
Mm, yeah, I'll go yeah.
I,
I'll
I,
go yeah.
I think it was yes too. I think Josh Allen played that poorly. But yeah, Joe Burrow, hype train, also headed way up. This game, I decided right at the end of our little Sunday prediction for the Jets and the Panthers that I thought I may look really stupid picking the Jets to upset the Panthers, since I needed to figure out who was going to upset who. 19-14. It doesn't look bad in the end. I said Panthers may just throttle them. They pulled away early, but then they let the Jets get back into it. It got a little bit interesting late, but it really never felt like the Carolina Panthers were going to lose this game. But 19 points out of the offense with all the playmakers. I can't say against the Jets defense that that's terribly impressive, but they got a win. So what are you thinking here about this team?
In actuality, looking at that game and seeing Sam Darnold go through a full game with the Panthers, this isn't a knock on Sam Darnold. I think the Panthers are just one step up from where the Jets are. Both have talented young defenses. I mean, the Panthers have more pieces on their defense than the Jets do. More healthy pieces, I should put that as well. And they have more weapons on offense, but both of their O-lines are atrocious. Zach Wilson was running for his life, and I mean, playing behind a BYU offensive line that was one of the top units in the nation compared to the talent they were going up against, but one of the top units in the nation, and then this, like going against NFL pass rushers where he's running for his life. I mean, he has the ability to do it, so I'm not gonna knock him for it. And he did force some passes that resulted in turnovers because of that. Same thing happened to Sam Darnold. Put the ball on the turf, and he threw threw some errant passes because of the pressure that was getting to him because that O-line cannot buy him some extra time. So I think the Panthers should just do what the Bills do and other teams with bad offensive lines but great weapons on offense. Just make a quick pass game, and you could definitely do that with Christian McCaffrey. And I think that will result in them scoring way more points and being able to pull away in games. And I don't think Joe Brady's that big of an idiot. I think he'll be able to figure that out, work it through at some point in the season. But right now, I mean,
Yeah,
it went how I expected. Sam Darnold got his revenge.
I don't hate the idea of getting a short passing game implemented. Just please don't make it like so dumbed down that
Yes.
that it's one read and we're throwing that one short pass immediately. Even if it's a short read system, it needs to be reads. It can't just be, okay, I'm throwing this swing out of the backfield no matter what. I hate those. Those are the plays that make me want to die.
I really like what Brian Dable said in his one interview. I can't remember who it was with. But in an interview, he's like, yeah, most of the receivers on plays, they run option routes. They have the choice, and they're on the same page with Josh about what to do. I think the Panthers, they have the smart enough receivers. Sam Darnold's a smart enough quarterback to be able to just have these guys like, yeah, this is an option. You go to the open space here, and then just send Robbie Anderson on a streak the whole time. That should be Robbie Anderson's only route. Just run past the guy.
Now, the game full of superstars and not very many mediocre players at all. It's just superstars making up this game. The Cardinals at the Tennessee Titans. Boy, we look dumb. And that's okay. Because a healthy Kyler Murray, after 1 week, I literally want to say this. A healthy Kyler Murray. So we have to get that out of the way. It has to be very clear about that. If he gets hurt, it doesn't matter. Even if it's a minor injury, it doesn't matter. It can slow him down a ton because of the way he plays. He's healthy for 17 games. He's an MVP candidate, maybe the MVP favorite, honestly, just after what we saw. Wow. What he put on a show. And I think that's where you got to start with this game.
Yeah, I mean, I picked the Titans to win, but Kyler Murray made me look smart by saying that he's closer to Mike Vick than Lamar is before I punched that prediction in. And he looked really good. I have not seen QB play like that in a while. Even comparing Mahomes and Josh Allen to what Kyler Murray did just on the ground with his feet, and also some of the crazy passes that he was completing. He looked great. The 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 frosting on the cake talent that Tennessee has could not keep up with that just because, and this is something that we've talked about too this offseason. The array of weapons on offense for the Cardinals, if Cliff Kingsbury can get it together, which I mean, maybe that year 3 jump for him now finally kicked in, and he's getting it going, just like players do. If he's got this figured out, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, that's Andy Isabella, Rondell Moore. Hold on, I can name off more. James Conner, Chase
Edmonds.
Edmonds, yeah, Eno Benjamin.
Yeah. Yeah, get to the backup quarterback, Colt McCoy, right?
Colt McCoy,
Yeah, all the
Chris
talent.
Streveler,
No, I mean,
DJ Humphries.
I mean, I don't know why we subscribe so much to like depth of receiving cores, really. Because what makes the latter guys on a receiving core actually stand out is who their quarterback is.
Mm-hmm.
It's always up to that. When is it not? I mean, is
There's a great example.
I mean, how many guys from Denver, like we say Denver's roster is really deep, but like at the receiver position, but like nobody's actually looking at Denver in terms of like having like 4 great receivers, even though we think they do, because they don't have a great quarterback. You have a guy like Kyler Murray. He's gonna make all those guys look good. But realistically, I think DeAndre Hopkins is the only one who's really that far up and that elite. I think the other guys are just average players. The rest of the offense.
That's the thing though. You have a superstar Hall of Fame wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, and then having just 3 average receivers after him is incredible. Just 3 average guys, and there's no drop off. Because I mean, look at Minnesota's roster. You got 2 superstar wide receivers, and then I can't name a guy after those 2. Oh, Chad Beebe.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say you better remember Chad Beebe. Yeah, I know. You're right. It's a weird situation, and now I'm just thinking about this offseason, how much this could have helped us yesterday, even though Josh Allen was completely off his game. The other part that the Bills just got killed in was the fact that they had no pass rush. One of the guys who requested a trade this offseason was Chandler Jones, and I was like, I don't know if I made it clear to you, but honestly, in my head, I was like praying to anything and anything that Chandler Jones would somehow end up on the Buffalo Bills, especially because he's from Western New York. That's one of the best parts of it. He goes out, he gets 5 sacks yesterday, and boy, oh boy, if they can have him and Watt, and basically just have the guy that gets the one-on-ones for the day to go off, then that's already like a great starting point. It almost doesn't matter who else is on the field. The linebackers are super athletic there, and they've got one of the most trustworthy safeties on the back end in Budda Baker to kind of keep everything in alignment. It's crazy to think about how much it really, like, we just got to get back to like positional value. Realize the Cardinals, even though we kind of talked them down all offseason, they've got 2 like elite edge talents, and they've got a guy at the quarterback position that may also be a generational talent, and a receiver that's a generational talent. I mean, what positions are we going to value higher than edge rusher, receiver, and quarterback? And they've got them all figured out.
Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you include coach, then yes.
And that's the main thing that you and I harp on too. It's just we're not. I feel this way about the team. Their talent, I just completely overlook it. And I think I even said this in the prediction episode. I don't care about the talent on that roster because Cliff Kingsbury is so bad that it I just refuse to acknowledge it, but now I can't. After seeing a performance like that against a team that I think has a shot at the AFC Championship game, I can't not look at the talent and just remove Cliff Kingsbury for a moment out of the equation. Granted, they could just go and lay in a goose egg next week because of his coaching, but
I mean,
as of right now, I should give him props because he did. Seeing some of the plays that were called, he called a pretty good game.
yeah. I mean, this is weird here because these are two teams that I definitely said for each of them individually in the offseason have like the most variability. Like the
Mhm.
Cardinals can go out and beat anyone any random week, but they'll also go out and like lay a decent amount of eggs. If that changes
Yeah.
this year, it's very good. Um, the Titans, on the other hand, felt like kind of the opposite. They'll lay like a few eggs throughout the season. This could be one of them, but most of the time they'll be winning a lot of those games. And like they're both talented rosters, but they're prone to these situations, and it was just more so that the Cardinals were more prone to it last year than the Titans were. But they still would do it every once in a while. I mean, look at the game against Cleveland last year for Tennessee. It looked very bad. But it's just hard with these teams knowing whether or not it's going to hold true. But man, I don't think there's anything that's lying about the way Kyler Murray played yesterday. I'm just gonna hit on that over and over again.
Mhm. Before we move to the next team, can we please spend 15 minutes just talking about J.J. Watt?
No, I was
For
gonna
no
try to.
reason.
I was
For
gonna
no
try to.
reason.
I was
Just to
gonna
talk
try to
about him.
get through it without like even saying his name, but I do think it's significant to point out that they have two guys that would be like realistically when you're game planning for them, if one of those guys was on the defensive side of the ball, you would want to double team them. So having two of them is something that I had to point out.
They
Otherwise, I
they
wouldn't
don't
mention him at all.
they don't just have two guys. They have future Hall of Famer, four-time Defensive Player
Stop.
of the
Just
Year.
stop. Let's talk about the Browns and Chiefs.
Oh, Browns and Chiefs. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, like I said, sells the soul of the devil to win football games, or at least to never lose in September, because the Browns had that game secured, and then they mess up on a punt. Nick Chubb fumbles, which when does that ever happen? That game was painful to watch because I was like, wow, all the teams that were in the championship game are well, the Bucks almost lost, and then the Packers, the Chiefs, and the Bills are all going to lose. That's wild. But no, Patrick Mahomes just pulls something out of his rear end and wins this game, which is madness, and it will be forever because that's what.
I I haven't gotten back to this game yet, like watching it all the way through. So I don't have a ton to say about it. Like, but really, I mean, jeez, us both picking Cleveland, and for them to just have it the whole game, they had it the whole game, and then right at the end to get it stolen from us. I feel like I was rooting for Cleveland as much yesterday as I was rooting for the Bills because I was just like, knock off the Chiefs, please. And it doesn't matter because the quarterback is still the most important position in football. And that's just so much of what I came back to in week one games. I mean, it shouldn't be surprising. I know it's the truth. And yet somehow I still need to be reminded of it. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest player at the position right now, and there's nothing we can do about it. And then the other thing we talked about after the Thursday night game, these guys that want to get tackled, that want to get tackled when they should have lateraled the ball like 3 seconds earlier. Thank you, Kareem Hunt, for allowing the Browns before half to get all the way down inside the 10-yard line on a great setup of laterals, and then just hold on to the ball and let yourself get tackled. They score there. They're inside the 10-yard line. It only takes a few more laterals to get 10 more yards. Score there. That puts them over the Chiefs, and they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Tough. Tough. Stupid thing to complain about, but really, I mean,
No, it's gonna be something that I think you and I harp on most of the season because you and I like to point out stupid stuff. And that's a really stupid thing, but no one else talks about it. Of just if you if you just aren't selfish on that last play, so many more of them would get converted. I feel like, but there's guys that just want to be the one that breaks 15 tackles and scores, and it's not gonna happen. It's a lateral play for a reason. Get rid of the ball.
Yes, it's very frustrating. Um, yeah, but I feel like that's basically all we got on it. Patrick Mahomes is
Yeah.
a god. Um,
hmm
Dolphins Patriots. This was my lock, and I lost. The only game of the week decided by 1 point. Also, where the Patriots had a lot of chances to take it over and convert and win the game, and they screwed them all up. And they lost by 1 to the Dolphins at home. I guess I should just be glad that even though I didn't get my lock right, they didn't get blown out. So good game by
Yeah,
the Dolphins, but it's weird seeing a Bill Belichick coach team be the one that makes the mistakes in the final few minutes of the game.
I was just about to say that usually the Bill Belichick coach team is the team that does not make any mistakes at all and loses the game just because the other team is like so like emptying out the chamber with ways to try to beat the Patriots. At least that's how it feels. Or last season, it was just because that team was not talented at all and lacking so much. But I mean, it's not wild to like expect that from a team that has a rookie QB. There's going to be hiccups that team has, even with Bill Belichick at the helm. Mac Jones, I think, held his own pretty well. There were a couple plays that were like, but at the same time, that's a rookie. Uh, Tua had a pretty good ball game. Besides some passes that you, if he was a rookie, you'd be like, and he isn't anymore. He's a second year player. But I mean, I'll cut him some slack for the first couple weeks of the season. And then after that, I'm gonna be on him. But I mean, if he beats the Bills next week, I think I have
Oh
to
my gosh.
resign every single bad thing I've ever said about him and just jump into Lake Erie and hope that I don't come back up
If the
because I
Bills
have been so mean to him.
listen, the Dolphins are also a good team. The Dolphins are a good team. So I really shouldn't say this because the Bills like losing to a good team it's not the end of the road, but geez, for everything the Bills had going for them, if they start 0-2, honestly, I hope they move. Like, just get my misery off my plate because, like, we've been doing this so long, like, as Bills fans, that, like, if last year was the high point, just end it now. Just take the team somewhere else so I don't have to deal with it anymore. Because like, there's so much hype leading up to this season, and to start 0-2 would just be like, I don't even know. I really feel that way. Like it was hard to deal with the loss yesterday, but even more so if yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Broncos and Giants. I guess I don't seeing the final score. I'm not shocked. It kind of just 27-13. It's like, yeah, Daniel Jones has his weapons, and Daniel Jones didn't do enough. Teddy Bridgewater was able to put 27 points on the board, which is maybe a little more than I would expect out of a Teddy Bridgewater
Mhm.
led offense. So that's good. But really, this game kind of feels right. Pick the Broncos. I don't think I would have picked him by the 14-point margin that they actually ended up winning by, but I could have seen 10 or something. So it's nothing. It's nothing crazy. It kind of feels like one of the games that went mostly how we felt it would. It's the most close without being exactly right. They got because the Broncos extended a lead a little bit more than we expected, I think.
Yeah, this was my lock for the week, and I came out on top, so I'm 1-0 for locks, better than you. And I mean, the score for that game really should be 27-7. Daniel Jones scored on the very last play of the game, which meant nothing, and he scored on a QB draw, which I mean, hey, he's the fastest QB in NFL history, so I'm not gonna hate on him for using his legs like that. But it the Giants and the Broncos are a good like tale of two cities for that offense. Both have quarterbacks that well, I should start with the weapons. Both have great weapons on offense. And then the QB situation, the Broncos, I think if they would have gone with Drew Lock, this game could have been closer because Drew Lock likes to make some errant passes. Maybe the defense for the Broncos would have just substituted his mistakes, and it probably wouldn't have been like super close. But just looking at the offenses straight up next to each other, Drew Locks there might have been a little closer game. Teddy Bridgewater, very conservative. I'm just going to get the ball to the playmakers and let the playmakers make plays. Daniel Jones, I don't think has that mindset because I think he's still trying to. Well, I mean, the coaching staff too wants him to be a franchise QB, and franchise QBs, their whole motto is like, I'm not just here to get the ball to the guy and have him do all the work. Like, I need to do stuff too. And that might be the death of the Giants season of just like, yep, we need to get Daniel Jones to do more. And I mean, if it is the death of their season, puts them in good position to get one of these QBs in the draft. But I mean, there ain't gonna be a lot of good ones. So
One of these pick your poison options, really. It doesn't seem like anybody's standing out at this point in the college football world. So I don't know how excited I'd be to have the number one pick this year, especially if I'm looking for a
just
quarterback.
trade it away, and get Rodgers. There you go.
Okay, next game. Team that I've kind of been like, I don't know, I don't feel right about him this offseason. Going up against a team that also kind of went against me, though, because they picked the other quarterback that I said they should go with. But when it came to the game this week, I did pick the New Orleans Saints to beat the Green Bay Packers, and they sure came out and handled their business. Before we get into it, yes, we want to compliment every single thing the Saints did. Is there any way, I haven't went back to the game yet, is there any way Aaron Rodgers is so petty that he's just like, I mean, I don't know. Because, like, he's made it so clear that he wants it out of there, so I don't even want to say, like, it's pettiness if he does this. Is there any way he's just like, yeah, I'm going to play, and, like, I'm going to get paid because I'm playing, but I'm going to purposely just play like crap so that you have to ship me out of here? Is there any way he did that?
I mean, for narrative's sake, for content's sake, I hope he is. I hope this keeps up and they just keep putting up like 3 points on the board every week. He's like, yeah, I'll get us into field goal range once, but we ain't scoring. That would be awesome. And I mean, seeing Jordan Love play, he looked okay, and then he fumbled in the red zone there when they could have scored, and that kind of, deflated that balloon. But I mean, I Rodgers might have, you know, taken some, out there, drugs on his trip to Hawaii. Saw some things, seen some messages in the stars, and said, "Aaron, suck this season. They'll get rid of you." And then he was like, "All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that." So, why not? Why not?
I could definitely see Aaron Rodgers doing that, just being like, I don't want to be here anymore. Just get rid of me. Although it was kind of a scumbag move to actually get Randall Cobb pulled back in to do that then. But
Yeah, you took
I mean, I guess Randall
away
Cobb,
from a winning team.
yeah, from
You
a
took him
winning
away
team.
from a winning team.
Yeah, no. Great job to the Saints, though. I'm really interested to once I eventually get back to see the Saints. I'm really gonna be interested to see how they were able to put up so many points without Jameis throwing for a ton of yards and just still throwing for a lot of touchdowns. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, there's nothing better than seeing on the little infographic that they show uh previous record held in 1948. There's nothing better than seeing a guy break something that says that, with Jameis throwing the least amount of yards to get 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. And then also having a great post-game interview where he says that his trainer told him to just be prepared
Yeah.
after he said that he came into the game prepared because his trainer said to be prepared.
Very, very funny clip. And if you need to see that content, you should follow us on the Instagram. If you're watching this far and you actually don't follow any of our accounts, I'm shocked. That's like really weird, but whatever. We'll get past that because we have one more game to discuss, and we have this. I'm sure this will be some really in-depth analysis. The Rams and Bears game went exactly how we thought it would because Andy Dalton is the starting quarterback for the Bears. So, anything else?
It was really I mean, I think I said this to you when we were talking while the game was going on. It was really nice to hear Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels talk to us like we were little babies and we couldn't recognize that Matthew Stafford was good in Detroit. It's like, yeah, this guy, he was pretty good with the Lions. It's just the Lions weren't a good team. It's like, really? Really? Huh?
Can you
Now you put him
name?
with what?
Can
What?
you? I can think of one broadcast where the Lions were on NBC, um, in my lifetime. Can you think of? Can you think of? No, wait, maybe two, maybe two, maybe I can think of two. Can you think of more than me? Can you think of? Can you think of more games where the Lions were on NBC broadcasts than me?
No.
Okay, can you think of one?
There must have been one
No,
Thanksgiving
no. I
game
mean,
where it was
there's
on NBC.
no, because they're the early slot and the NBC
I
game is the
know, I
night
know.
game.
It's always the early slot, but I just thought maybe.
No, no. I got you. I got you though. Okay, ready? I got two. Not even one. I got two. I thought of two. Okay. 2011 wild card weekend.
Oh yeah.
Saints Lions. That one. Pretty sure that was an NBC game. So if that one was, that's one. And if this other one I'm thinking of was, then this will be two. Hopefully I'm not wrong about either of these. Rookie year, 98-yard Juju Smith-Schuster touchdown was a Sunday night football game in week 2, I think. That is how my memory's clicking, because I was surprised the next day I wasn't watching the night game that week because the Lions were playing on it, and Juju Smith-Schuster had a 98-yard touchdown. I'm pretty sure that's how that went. So,
Hmm.
two. Got two in what, 10 years? Or how long, like since I've been watching football, like 12 years? They got two night games. Honestly, before like the last 2 years, that's about the same amount as the Bills, if not more. So I guess I shouldn't be too mad. Um, is
Start
that
Justin Fields.
yes?
That's my final thought with this. Start Justin Fields. Also, Matt Stafford. I think he might be. It might be a three-way tie for the MVP race after Week 1 between Kyler Murray, Jameis Winston, and Matthew Stafford.
Uh, I'm picking. If we're getting closing notes, right now, I'm not kidding. I want to pick Kyler Murray for MVP. That game was so insane. That
Uh,
so
and
insane.
give me Stafford, just because I love him. And I want like, and I know whatever success he has in LA, Lions fans are going to be hyped for him. At least that's how it feels. So
Yeah.
so happy for the guy.
NFC West. If there's one thing we were right about this offseason, that is by far the best division in football.
Yes.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting to watch that race. Okay, you all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.